He left you. He thought you were just another option. Listen to me carefully. This is where your real power begins. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something undeniable. No one, and I mean no one, who truly knows your worth will ever think they can replace you. Yet there are people who will try. A man who thought you were just another face in the crowd, just another name in his contact list, someone he could discard and replace, let him try. But you will not be waiting. You will not be pleading, you will not be explaining. You see, people misunderstand power. They think control is power. They think love is weakness. They believe that if they can walk away from you, you will break. But listen carefully, you don't break, you rise. What should you do? Should you cry? Should you beg? Should you try to show him what he lost? No. That's what weak minds do. That's what people who are desperate for validation do. You, my dear, you will choose a different path. Silence is power. Not just the absence of words, but the presence of something far greater. Control. Control over your emotions, control over your actions, control over how the world perceives you. The loudest voices in the room are often the weakest. They scream for attention, they beg to be heard, they fight to prove a point. But the one who remains silent, that person is unreadable, unpredictable, and unstoppable. Think about it. When someone disrespects you, what do they expect? A reaction. They expect anger, they expect tears, they expect you to break. Because the moment you break, they win. The moment you react, they know they have power over you. But when you say nothing, when you simply walk away with a smirk as if their words or actions are beneath you, that silence shakes them to their core. Let's take a simple example. Imagine a man who leaves a woman thinking she will beg, thinking she will cry, thinking she will fall apart without him. He blocks her, ignores her, shows off with someone new just to get a reaction. Now imagine she doesn't react. Imagine she doesn't call, doesn't text, doesn't even acknowledge his existence. Days turn into weeks and she is nowhere to be seen. She doesn't post sad messages. She doesn't try to make him jealous. She doesn't try to remind him of her worth. That silence will haunt him. He will wonder, did she ever care? Did she move on? Why is she so unbothered? And that is when the power shifts. Because silence forces the mind to speak. Silence makes them fill in the blanks. And when people don't have answers, they create their own. They will wonder why you didn't chase. They will replay memories in their head, trying to understand how you could just disappear like that. And by the time they realize your worth, you are already too far ahead. This applies everywhere, not just in relationships. In a fight, the one who loses their temper first loses. In an argument, the one who stays calm always comes out on top. In business, the one who listens more than they speak always wins the deal. Why? Because silence is not weakness, it is strategy. Have you ever seen a lion hunt? It does not roar before it attacks. It does not announce its presence. It moves in silence, calculating every step, until the moment is right. And when it strikes, it is already too late for the prey to escape. That is how power works. The strongest people do not need to prove anything. They do not need to convince anyone of their worth. Their presence alone is enough. Look at the world around you. The people who always talk about how great they are, how rich they are, how powerful they are, those are the ones trying to convince themselves. The truly powerful ones do not speak, they show. They let their success be the noise. They let their actions do the talking. And that is exactly what you must do. When someone tries to insult you, do not react. When someone tries to bring you down, do not engage. When someone walks away thinking you will chase, let them keep walking. Because the moment you choose silence, you choose power. The moment you stop explaining yourself, you step into a different level of strength. Think of the most legendary people in history, the warriors, the leaders, the masters of their craft. They did not waste words. They did not seek validation. They understood that true power is never in proving, but in being. And the moment you understand this, your entire life will change. Because when you learn to control your silence, you learn to control everything around you. Glow up mentally, emotionally, and physically. Not for them, not to prove a point, but for yourself. Because the moment you decide to elevate, the world will shift in your favor. You do not need to announce it. You do not need to seek validation. Just become. Become the person they thought you could never be. Become the person they wish they never lost. Mental glow up is the foundation. Your mind is your greatest weapon, but most people let it be their greatest weakness. They allow negativity, self-doubt, and fear to control them. But what happens when you start feeding your mind with power instead of poison? What happens when you train yourself to see challenges as opportunities instead of obstacles? Everything changes. You start walking differently. You start speaking differently. You no longer react to small-minded people because your mind is too busy expanding. Think about this. If you are constantly focusing on the past, how will you move forward? If you are always thinking about what they did to you, how will you build something greater? Mental glow up starts when you take back control. When you stop allowing people's opinions to dictate your life. When you stop letting rejection define your worth. Because the truth is, rejection is redirection. Every time someone walks away, every time a door closes, it is the universe pushing you towards something better. But most people are so focused on what they lost that they fail to see what they are gaining. Not you. You will see the opportunity in every loss. You will use every setback as fuel. You will train your mind to be unshakable. Emotional glow up is next. You cannot master life if your emotions master you. People will test you. Life will throw pain at you. But how you handle it defines everything. The weak ones break down. They seek pity. They beg for love. The strong ones, they transform pain into power. They do not let heartbreak destroy them. They use it to rise. They do not let betrayal make them bitter. They let it make them wiser. When someone leaves you, do not ask, why did they do this to me? Ask, what is this teaching me? Because the truth is, every painful experience is a lesson in disguise. Look around. The most powerful people you know, the ones who carry themselves with confidence, the ones who command respect, they have all been through something. They have all felt pain. But the difference, they did not stay there. They did not let their emotions trap them. They mastered their emotions. That is what you must do. Learn to control your reactions. Learn to sit in silence and process your feelings instead of acting on impulse. Learn that your peace is worth more than proving a point. Because the moment you stop letting emotions control you, you step into a different kind of power. Now let's talk about the physical glow up. Because whether people admit it or not, appearance matters. It is not about looking good for others, it is about feeling good for yourself. When you take care of your body, you send a message to yourself and the world that you respect yourself. You wake up earlier, you move with energy, you dress with purpose. And the best part, the better you look, the better you feel, the more unstoppable you become. Think of it this way. Have you ever seen someone go through a breakup and suddenly they start looking better than ever? Why? Because pain, when used correctly, fuels transformation. And this is what you must do. Transform. Do not let heartbreak make you look tired and drained. Let it make you radiant. Do not let disappointment make you weak. Let it make you stronger, sharper, more disciplined. You do not have to be the most beautiful person in the world, but when you carry yourself with confidence, when you walk like you know your worth, when your energy radiates strength, people will notice. They will feel it before you even speak. And that is the real glow up. Not just a pretty face, but a powerful presence. When you glow up mentally, emotionally, and physically, you become a force. You become the version of yourself that they never expected. You do not chase. You do not seek revenge. You simply rise. Every single person who underestimated you will feel your absence. Not because you tried to prove them wrong, but because you proved yourself right. Never try to prove your worth to someone who doubted it. Because the moment you do, you place your value in their hands. You turn yourself into a performer, dancing for their approval, waiting for them to finally see what you have always known. You are enough. But here's the truth. People who doubt you have already decided what they think of you. They've already measured you in their small minds, already placed you in a box. And no matter how much you try, no matter how much you give, they will never see beyond their own limitations. Think about it. Have you ever tried to prove your love to someone who didn't appreciate it? Did they suddenly realize your worth? Or did they take you for granted even more? When you chase, when you over-explain, when you keep trying to make someone see your value, you don't look valuable. You look desperate. And desperation does not attract respect. It attracts pity. You don't want to be pitied. You want to be valued. But value isn't something you beg for. It's something you own. A diamond does not beg someone to recognize its worth. It does not scream, "Look at me, I am rare, I am precious." No, it simply is. And those who understand its value, they see it, they respect it, they handle it with care. Those who don't, they overlook it, thinking it's just another rock. But that doesn't make the diamond any less valuable. It simply means that person does not have the eyes to see what is in front of them. And that is how you must think about yourself. You have spent too much time trying to convince people who were never meant to understand you. Too much time explaining yourself to those who have already made up their minds. Too much time waiting for validation from those who will never give it. And why? For what? If someone truly values you, they won't need a presentation. They won't need proof. They will feel it. They will see it in how you carry yourself, in how you treat them, in the energy you bring. But the moment you feel like you have to prove your worth, stop. Step back. Ask yourself, why am I trying so hard for someone who does not see me? The right people, the people who deserve you, will recognize you without effort. They will not question your value. They will not need reminders. They will not make you feel like you're not enough. Look at the world around you, the most successful, powerful people. Do they spend time explaining why they are great? Do they argue with those who doubt them? No. They simply move forward. They let their work speak. They let their presence be the answer. And that is what you must do. Be so focused on becoming your best self that proving your worth becomes irrelevant. Be so busy leveling up that you don't even notice who is watching. Let them doubt you. Let them think you can't do it. Let them underestimate you. That is their problem, not yours. Your job is not to convince, not to prove, not to seek approval. Your job is to evolve, to grow, to shine. And in that process, the ones who were blind to your worth will eventually look back and realize what they lost. But by then, you will be so far ahead that their opinion won't even matter. Success is the ultimate response. Not words, not arguments, not proving a point. Just success. Because when you rise, when you elevate beyond what they imagine, when you walk into rooms they thought you'd never enter, that silence speaks louder than anything you could ever say. People who doubted you, people who underestimated you, people who left you for someone they thought was better, let them watch. Let them witness the version of you they never believed in. Most people waste their energy trying to argue with those who never saw their worth. They spend time explaining, justifying, proving, hoping that one day those people will finally admit they were wrong. But why? Why do you need their approval now when they couldn't even see your potential back then? You don't. You don't need to convince anyone of anything. You just need to become everything they said you couldn't be. Look at your life. How many times have you been told you're not good enough? How many times have you been looked over, rejected, ignored? And how did you respond? Did you let it break you? Or did you let it fuel you? The strongest people, the ones who truly succeed, do not waste time trying to explain their dreams to those who are blind to them. They take that doubt, that rejection, that pain, and they turn it into power. Imagine a person who was once told they wouldn't make it, who was laughed at, who was dismissed. And now they walk into the very places that once shut their doors on them. Now they live a life that people once thought was impossible for them. They didn't do it by arguing. They didn't do it by seeking validation. They did it by working in silence and letting success speak for itself. Success is the loudest response because it cannot be denied. When you transform, when you glow up mentally, emotionally, physically, financially, when you build a life that no one expected you to have, there is nothing left to say. They see it, they feel it. And in that moment, every word they ever spoke against you, every doubt they ever had crumbles. Because the truth stands in front of them. You have to understand something. Most people who doubt you don't actually believe you're incapable. They fear what will happen when you finally realize your own strength. They fear that one day they will have to watch you become untouchable. And that fear, that is why they try to bring you down. That is why they try to keep you small. Because they know that if you ever wake up, if you ever step into your power, there is nothing they can do to stop you. And this is your moment, this is your time to stop explaining, stop proving, stop arguing. Let them think what they want. Let them doubt. Let them talk. While they are busy watching, you will be busy working. While they are laughing now, you will be the one smiling later. Your success is coming. And when it does, you won't have to say a single word. Your life will be the response. Your glow will be the response. Your peace, your power, your confidence, that will be the response. And the ones who once ignored you, they will wish they had paid attention when they had the chance. Unfollow, delete, disappear. Not because you are weak, not because you are afraid, but because you refuse to give your energy to people who don't deserve it. The biggest mistake people make is keeping access open for those who no longer belong in their lives. You cannot heal in the same space that broke you. You cannot grow when you are constantly reminded of the past that hurt you. There is power in walking away. There is strength in silence. When you unfollow, you are not being petty. You are protecting your peace. When you delete, you are not being dramatic. You are clearing space for better things. And when you disappear, you are not running away. You are reclaiming yourself. Have you ever noticed how people want to keep you around, not because they love you, but because they love knowing they still have access to you? They want to know they can still reach you, still affect you, still control a part of you. And that is why you must break that chain. You see, the people who hurt you don't expect you to move on. They expect you to linger. They expect you to still check their profile, to still react, to still hold on in some way. They expect you to sit in your pain while they continue living their life without a second thought. But what happens when you disappear? When they search for you and find nothing? When they reach out and there is no response? That is when they feel the weight of what they lost. That is when they realize they no longer have control. Think about it. When you keep someone in your life who no longer deserves a place there, you are telling them, I still allow you to affect me. You are handing them your energy, your emotions, your peace on a silver platter. And for what? What do you gain from watching them move on while you stay stuck? What do you gain from keeping memories alive that only bring you pain? The strongest people know that disappearing is not about running, it's about rising. It's about stepping into a new version of yourself that does not need validation, that does not need closure, that does not need to be seen by those who took you for granted. It's about making your growth so private that by the time they realize how far you've come, they can no longer reach you. Imagine this. Someone who doubted you, someone who betrayed you, someone who never valued you, one day searching for you, only to find that you are no longer accessible. You are no longer watching. You are no longer reacting. You are no longer in the same place they left you. That moment of realization will hit them harder than any words you could ever say. And that is why you must unfollow, delete, disappear. Not to prove a point, not to get revenge, but to reclaim your energy. To build a life so full, so powerful, so unstoppable that the past becomes irrelevant. Because the truth is, the past only has power over you if you keep looking back. The moment you turn away, the moment you decide to move forward without seeking closure, without seeking validation, that is the moment you truly win. Never chase, never explain. The moment you start running after people, you tell them they are more valuable than you. The moment you start explaining yourself to those who don't even deserve an answer, you give them power over your life. And power is not something you hand out freely. It is something you guard with everything you have. The strongest people are not the ones who beg, not the ones who plead, not the ones who try to convince others to stay. The strongest people are the ones who know their worth so deeply that they refuse to lower themselves for anyone. Because here's the truth. What is meant for you will never need to be chased, and those who truly value you will never require an explanation. Think about this. When you chase, you are telling someone that their presence is more important than your peace. You're telling them that they have something you lack, something you need. But you lack nothing. You are whole, you are complete. The only thing you should ever be chasing is your own growth, your own success, your own evolution. Not a person, not their approval, not their love. Have you ever seen someone beg to be respected? Have you ever seen someone force their way into a space that didn't welcome them? It's painful. It's humiliating. And worst of all, it's unnecessary. Because the moment you have to convince someone to see your worth, you have already lost. People either see it or they don't. And if they don't, that is their loss, not yours. You don't explain your worth. You don't explain your boundaries. You don't explain why you walked away from disrespect. When you explain, you are giving the other person the illusion that they have a say in how you live your life. But they don't. They never did. The only person who needs to understand your decisions is you. Let me tell you something. Silence is powerful. Walking away without a word is powerful. Being unbothered is powerful. When someone expects you to fight for them, to prove yourself, to chase, and you do the exact opposite, that is when they realize who you were. That is when they understand that they lost someone irreplaceable. Look around you. The most successful, the most powerful, the most respected people do not chase, they attract. They do not waste energy explaining themselves to those who will never understand. They let their actions, their success, their glow up do all the talking. You have to understand that when you stop chasing, when you stop explaining, you shift the power dynamic. Suddenly people start wondering where you went. Suddenly they start questioning their own worth. Suddenly they realize that they were not the prize, you were. And by then, it's too late. Because once a person who knows their worth walks away, they never look back. Let them wonder, let them regret. The most powerful move you can ever make is to disappear in silence and let your absence speak louder than any words ever could. When you leave without explanation, without drama, without a single plea for them to understand, you force them into a position they never expected. You make them question, you make them wonder, and most of all, you make them regret. Regret is not something you can force upon someone. It is something they must feel on their own, in the emptiness you leave behind. And trust me, they will feel it. Because the human mind is designed to take things for granted until they are gone. People never realize the depth of your presence until it becomes a memory. They never appreciate your kindness, your patience, your loyalty until they no longer have access to it. Imagine this. They expected you to fight. They expected you to beg. They expected you to prove your worth, but instead you simply walked away. No warnings, no explanations, just silence. That silence will haunt them more than any argument ever could. It will replay in their mind over and over, making them wonder why you didn't try harder. Making them regret ever thinking they could treat you as if you were replaceable. They will check your social media expecting you to be hurting, expecting you to break down, but instead they will see you rising, thriving, glowing. They will see a version of you that no longer needs them, no longer thinks about them, no longer cares. And that will be the moment they realize they lost something valuable. People always assume they have time. They assume they can leave and you'll still be there. They assume they can hurt you and you'll still forgive. But one day they wake up and you are no longer available. Your energy is no longer open for them to drain. Your presence is no longer a guarantee, and suddenly they are left with nothing but memories of what could have been. Regret is a slow poison. It doesn't hit immediately. At first they feel relieved. They think they have won. They think they made the right decision. But as days turn into weeks, as weeks turn into months, as they see you moving on, glowing up, living a life that no longer includes them, that is when the regret sets in. That is when they realize they had something rare, something irreplaceable, something they will never find again. Let them wonder where you went. Let them wonder why you never looked back. Let them wonder if they ever truly mattered to you, because in their wondering, in their regret, they will finally understand what they lost. And by then, it will be too late. Your next move should be your best move. You have already been through enough. Enough pain, enough disappointment, enough betrayal. This time, you don't get to act on impulse. This time, you don't get to move without strategy. Every step forward must be calculated, intentional, and powerful. Because this is not just another phase in your life. This is your comeback. And when you come back, you don't come back as the same person they underestimated. You come back as someone they never saw coming. People expect you to react. They expect you to act out of anger, out of desperation, out of emotion. But emotions don't win wars. Strategy does. And this is a war between the version of you that suffered and the version of you that is about to rise. You don't have the luxury of making the same mistakes twice. You don't have the time to waste on people who already showed you who they are. Your next move needs to be so solid, so unshakable that when they hear about you again, they won't even recognize the person you've become. Think of a chess game. The best players don't move fast, they move smart. They see the whole board, not just what's in front of them. They know that every single piece matters, that every single move will either bring them closer to victory or set them up for failure. Life is the same. If you move too quickly, if you move without thinking, you will find yourself in the same situations with the same toxic people, with the same regrets. But if you take your time, if you focus, if you play the long game, there is no limit to what you can become. So now ask yourself, what is your next move? Will you sit and cry over the past, over people who never deserved you, over doors that closed? Or will you get up, rebuild, and create a life so incredible that even you won't believe how far you've come? The choice is yours. But let me tell you something. The strongest people in this world are not the ones who complain about their pain. They are the ones who use their pain as fuel. The strongest people are not the ones who seek revenge. They are the ones who become so successful that revenge becomes unnecessary. Your next move should be the kind that makes people stop and stare. The kind that turns silence into whispers. The kind that makes those who doubted you regret ever thinking you would fail. Because the best revenge is not proving people wrong, it's proving yourself right. It's becoming everything they thought you couldn't be. It's walking into a room and knowing that you don't need validation from anyone because your presence speaks for itself. Nothing speaks louder than results. Not words, not explanations, not arguments, just pure, undeniable results. So focus on that. Focus on yourself. Focus on leveling up in every possible way. When you come back, don't just come back better. Come back untouchable. Be so busy leveling up that their absence becomes irrelevant. Not just irrelevant, because the truth is, the people who walked away, the ones who underestimated you, the ones who thought you couldn't survive without them, they should never have had that kind of power over you in the first place. Your focus should never be on who left. Your focus should be on who you are becoming. And when you are fully invested in your own growth, in your own elevation, in your own transformation, the ones who doubted you become nothing more than a forgotten chapter in a book that only gets better with time. Think about it. Why do you miss them? Why do you even care? Is it because they were truly irreplaceable? Or is it because their absence created a void that you haven't filled with something greater yet? Most people get stuck in the past, replaying memories, wondering what went wrong, hoping for closure. But closure is an illusion. The only real closure you will ever get is success. The only real answer to your pain is progress. Imagine this. You're so focused on your goals, so immersed in your dreams, so committed to your vision, that you don't even have time to wonder what they're doing. You don't check their social media. You don't stalk their updates. You don't sit around hoping they'll come back, because you are too busy becoming the version of yourself that doesn't need them. And one day, without even realizing it, you wake up and they don't even cross your mind. Their absence no longer hurts Because you've built a life so fulfilling, so powerful, so unstoppable that they have no place in it anymore. The best revenge is not making them miss you. The best revenge is making yourself so powerful, so successful, so radiant that they have no choice but to notice, even from a distance. And when they do, it won't matter. Because by then you will have outgrown the version of you that once waited for their validation. You will have outgrown the need for their presence, their approval, their apologies. Your life should be so full of purpose, so overflowing with success, that the thought of them becomes a joke. Not because you hate them, not because you're bitter, but because you genuinely don't care anymore. That is the real power. When you no longer need closure, when you no longer need explanations, when you no longer need anything from them, that is when you know you've truly won. Level up so much that your past no longer fits you. Chase your dreams so relentlessly that your old wounds become irrelevant. Become so unstoppable that their absence becomes nothing more than a distant memory in a life that is far too great to dwell on what was lost. When you know your worth, you become irreplaceable, and that is your greatest power. The moment you realize that your value is not determined by someone else's ability to see it, you become untouchable. You stop begging for love, you stop explaining your worth, you stop lowering your standards just to fit into spaces that were never meant for you. You walk with a different kind of confidence, the kind that turns heads, the kind that commands attention without saying a word. Most people spend their lives trying to be chosen, trying to be accepted, trying to be good enough for someone who never deserved them in the first place. But let me tell you something. When you know your worth, you don't chase, you attract. You don't convince, you decide. You don't wait to be picked because you already know you are the prize. Think about diamonds. They don't beg to be valued. They don't scream for attention. Their brilliance speaks for itself. And that's exactly how you should be. You are not ordinary, you are not replaceable, but the only way people will see that is if you believe it first. The problem is, too many people doubt themselves. They let the opinions of others define them. They let rejection shake their confidence. They let someone's inability to love them properly make them question their own worth. Let me tell you a hard truth. If someone couldn't see your value, that was their loss, not yours. If they walked away, that was their mistake, not yours. If they treated you like you were easy to replace, that only means they never truly deserved you. Because the ones who recognize real value never take it for granted. The ones who see your worth will never make you question it. And the moment you start seeing yourself the way you were meant to be seen, everything changes. You stop tolerating disrespect. You stop giving second chances to people who don't deserve them. You stop seeking validation from places that were never meant to validate you. Instead, you rise. You evolve. You become a version of yourself that is so powerful, so self-assured, so completely in love with who you are, that losing people no longer feels like a loss. Do you want to know the real secret to being irreplaceable? It's not about being the most beautiful. It's not about being the most talented. It's not about being the most successful. It's about having something that cannot be duplicated. It's about knowing that your energy, your presence, your essence, these are things that no one else can ever replicate. It's about understanding that there's only one you, and that alone makes you priceless. Stop worrying about who left. Stop obsessing over who didn't appreciate you. Stop shrinking yourself just to be accepted by people who will never understand your worth. Instead, step into your power. Own who you are. Walk like you are irreplaceable, because you are. And when you carry yourself with that level of confidence, when you finally understand just how valuable you are, the world will have no choice but to treat you accordingly. And now, listen carefully, because this is the truth that will set you free. You were never in competition with anyone else. The moment you stop seeking validation, the moment you stop waiting for someone to recognize your worth, you step into your power. And when you step into your power, you become unstoppable. The world moves for those who know who they are. The universe aligns for those who refuse to settle. The ones who rise are the ones who realize they were never meant to beg for a place at the table. They were meant to build their own. They thought they could replace you. Let them try. Let them search the world for what you gave so effortlessly. Let them wander from person to person, situation to situation, looking for the same depth, the same loyalty, the same energy, and watch as they fail. Because what you brought to the table was never ordinary. It was never something that could be duplicated. They won't find you again. Because you were never just another option. You were the difference. You were the one who stood out. You were the rare one. And rare things don't come twice. Every time you level up, every time you focus on yourself, every time you choose yourself over the ones who doubted you, you prove them wrong. Not with words, not with revenge, not with desperation, but with your success, your glow up, your transformation, your elevation. That is the response, that is the answer, that is the only thing that will ever make them realize what they lost. But by then, you won't care. By then you will have built something far greater than their absence. You will have built a life so rich, so fulfilling, so powerful that even their memory will seem insignificant. And that is the ultimate victory, not proving them wrong, but proving yourself right. Proving that you were always enough. Proving that you never needed them to see your worth because you saw it in yourself. The greatest flex is not making them regret. The greatest flex is never needing to look back. The greatest flex is walking away and never checking if they followed. The greatest flex is being so deeply in love with your own journey that you forget why you ever cared in the first place. And when they do realize, when they do see you rising, when they do feel the weight of your absence, do nothing. Let them wonder, let them regret, let them sit with the consequences of their own choices, while you sit at the top of the world you built without them. You are the prize. You are the storm they never saw coming. You are the chapter they will keep rereading, hoping for a different ending. But the story has already been written. And you? You are too busy writing new ones to care.